This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. They're the #1 meal kit in America, making home cooking easier with chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients delivered straight to your door. HelloFresh makes you feel great with their new, healthier menu. Choose from 15-plus high-protein recipes each week with options like grass-fed ribeyes or lamb chops. HelloFresh now helps you eat greener with new veggie-packed recipes that have 2 or more veggies per dish. Sally and I recently had a few meals delivered to our door, and inside the box are all the ingredients for the meals, and all we had to do was follow the recipe to cook them. We love the Italian herb chicken and creamy polenta with zucchini. Quick and delicious. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/Sally10FM now to get 10 free meals plus a free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/Sally10FM to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life.
When was the last time that you needed to go to a doctor but you pushed it off? Made the excuse of, I'm too busy, or I don't know which doctor to go to. I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor appointment can just feel so daunting. But thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care. Sally and I are always looking for ways to get things done efficiently and quickly, even when it comes to booking our doctor's appointments. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Sally to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/SALLY. ZocDoc.com/Sally.
What is up, listeners? I'm giving you a intro before the intro of this podcast because Rachel and I, we just started chatting pretty much right away. And I realized after we finished our podcast that I did not do diligence and download you about Rachel's many accolades. And these are all important to a lot of our conversation. This is really going to help the flow. So I am just going to give you a background on our incredible guest today, Rachel Entrekin. If you are not aware of who she is, obviously, if you're listening today, you will get to know her very well. I was very happy that she shared her incredible story about her family, some things that she has overcome in her life, in addition to the amazing performances that she has been having in the past few years. I mean, really her entire career. But I'd say in the last few years, she just keeps performing better and better and breaking record after record. What an incredible athlete. So Rachel Entrekin, she's a 2-time Cocodona 250 champion. She won the Cocodona 250 in Arizona in both 2024 and 2025. In 2025, she set the female course record in 63 hours and 50 minutes and finished 4th overall. Mind you, this was one of the gnarliest years as far as weather goes. I mean, it was mud and rain and ice and sleet. I mean, it was crazy. Also, one of the most competitive fields. 4th overall, which is an extraordinary result. This is definitely one of the world's toughest self-supported ultras. She also, just a few months later, won Mammoth 200 and set the women's race record. Well, it was the first year of this race, but this is going to be a hard record to beat, winning this 200-mile event in 46 hours and 50 minutes, and that is held right here in Mammoth Lakes, California. Rachel also won this year High Lonesome, that super high altitude race in Colorado, by far one of Colorado's toughest 100-mile mountain ultras. I'd say one of the toughest ultras in the United States. So she was the women's winner for that. During 2025 alone, she logged numerous big performances, including top female finishes in races such as Pass Mountain 50 miler, and of course, as I said, the Mammoth 200. And she has been recognized for repeatedly winning ultras across distances from 50 miles up through 250 miles. She also has some FKTs that she has set in her past on the Wonderland Trail in Washington, the Timberline Trail in Oregon, and the Ray Lakes Loop Trail in California, and several other supported and unsupported long trail routes. Those are just a few of them. Her UTMB World Series index is 772. It's a very, very high score, which reflects her strong global competitive performances. And she is featured in Ultrarunning magazine as one of the sport's emerging elite ultra runners. But one of the things that I dove into in this conversation that a lot of people don't know about is how long Rachel has actually been in the sport. So she's from Alabama originally, and she transitioned from road running into ultras around 2013. So she has been racing and racing very well for the last 12 years. And she is known not only for that big, beautiful smile and joy that she carries with herself on the trail as she races, but for her durability, strong endurance across very long distances, and racing smart even in extreme terrain and conditions. Friends, I am so excited about this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please enjoy our conversation. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Choose Strong podcast. I am your host, Sally McRae. We got Rachel Entrekin on with us today. As you can see, if you're watching us on video or YouTube, we are waving at you and we're so glad that you've joined us. As always, a big shout out to our youth listeners. We know that we always got those elementary, middle school kids that join in for the first few minutes. And as always, we want to remind you that we are always rooting for you. We believe in you and we hope that you are setting those big goals for yourself. And we also hope that you enjoy this holiday season. For those of you that have just started your run, you push start on that Garmin, that Coros watch, or whatever it is that you like to wear, or maybe you're not wearing a watch today. We just want to congratulate you for showing up for yourself today, for putting in that work, for showing up for your goals, because you are worth it. And I'll tell you what, Rachel and I are so stoked that we get to join you for your run today or for your race, or if you're lifting in the gym, as you should be, especially during this off season. We like to see you getting stronger. We'll be talking to Rachel a little bit about that too, because this is the pro who knows all things about bodies. She's an incredible PT. That's a part of our conversation we'll get into later on. But know that we are both very stoked that you are lifting today. And for those of you that are just chilling on the couch or doing dishes, or you've settled into that car seat, as always, we appreciate you being a part of the Choose Strong community. We hope that you pick up some merch in our shop. We have dropped a whole bunch of new merch, but it won't be there for long because we're going to be dropping in the next 3 weeks our Run Far, Lift Heavy line coming January 1st. We're super stoked about it. So get your merch now and continue to support the show. All right, without further ado, welcome Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Rachel, let's just go ahead and start. Let's dive in to the sponsor that you just signed with. I really do want to talk about your sponsorship journey. It was something that we had started talking about in June when I got to see you at TrailCon and have my first real conversation with you. Tell us about your sponsor, and then we are going to move into your history in ultras. I don't think a lot of people know how long you've been doing ultras. You've been doing them for a long time.
Yeah.
So let's just start with your recent ultra. We'll give your sponsor a shout. We'll just say that.
So, I did. I have a couple of sponsors that I picked up kind of throughout the year, but I guess the big shoe sponsor that everybody, including me, was waiting on was Norda. They're a kind of like trail specific shoe company out of Canada. And they are known for not having any plates. They have a couple of shoes that are like winter specific. So they have like a waterproof material that kind of makes up the upper. But they're really awesome. I have been trying out a lot of different shoes over the last like 6 months or so. And I remember I put those on and texted the shoe rep who like sent them to me. And I just said like, these are immediately the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. So that was good. I mean, if you're gonna be sponsored by a company, it's nice that their shoes work really well for you.
It's
So
key.
yeah, I really like them. Yeah. Yeah, I like that they don't have carbon plates in them. They have like a bunch of fancy foam that I'm not even gonna pretend to know anything about. Because I mean, I've been running for a long time, and I mean, back when I started, I don't even think we like had carbon plates, and
You're
so I've
right.
just never really. I started like I started dabbling with them a little bit this year, but there's a lot of, and I'm a PT, and so I have heard the stories of, like, carbon plates causing problems, and I think carbon plates can exacerbate problems, but if you can do some of your runs without them, I think that's probably good. So yeah, I like the build of them. I like that they're really durable, because I do a lot of wacky stuff, and I need my shoes to last, and that's kinda what they're known for. So, yeah, pretty excited that our, values lined up in a way that, like, made a lot of sense, had a really good time. So, I'm excited to be on their squad.
Well, I'm so excited for you. I heard about Norda, well, actually, like, for, like, the past year especially, I feel like they've grown a lot in, like, last year or 2, and I've met a lot of people wearing their shoe, and exactly what you just said, how comfortable they are, is the top thing that people tell me. They just say,
Yeah.
"This shoe is made so well, it's so comfortable." So it's really good to hear that, and for our listeners, I mean, gear talk, nutrition talk, training talk, that's always a top thing in this podcast, and people are always looking for a shoe. I don't think there's one right shoe for everyone. I always said that, being signed with Nike, it's like I don't love all their shoes. Here's a couple shoes I like, but I wouldn't even say to everyone, like, this is what you need to get. Everyone should wear this. But I think the comfort, especially for, I wouldn't say wacky things you do, the incredible things that you do. You are incredible. You do need a good shoe that's going to last while you're on your feet for 2 days, 3 days straight.
Yeah.
So,
Right, and, like, going through really rugged terrain and stuff too, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you could probably put these shoes in a blender and they'd be fine. I'm tracking my shoes. The one thing that I balked at initially was, like, it's a high cost entry, and as somebody who is not extremely wealthy, like, that is something that gave me pause. So I've started tracking my shoes for the first time because I mean, it's hugely annoying when you buy a $160 pair of shoes and then they have holes in them after a week. Like, that has literally happened to me with a lot of shoes. And so far, I mean, I've put, I think probably at this point, maybe over 300 miles on my 002s, because that's actually, weirdly, that's my favorite pair that they have.
what is it called? Wait, what's the name of it?
The 002. It's really like a minimal shoe, but I really like it. I think it's really comfortable. The 005 and the 001 is kind of the one that most people will wear, but I don't know. I'm weird, so I like the 002. But I mean, they look exactly like they did the day I got them. Like, they have not broken down. They still feel very comfortable. The tread is perfect. So I'm excited to see kind of what that dollar per mile metric winds up being, because I know for some shoes that I've had in the past, like, it is not great. Like, I've wrecked a pair of shoes after a 100-miler before and just been like, "Okay, well." So if that number seems like one that's reasonable, I think, that'd be information that would be useful to get out there. Is like, "Yeah, okay, it's expensive, but the quality is like this." And, like, I run in Colorado, and I've run in Arizona, and, like, the terrain in California, and, like, the terrain there is pretty difficult and challenging, and, like, I've had shoes break down easily, and so if it lasts, then that makes it worth it. So,
I like the dollar per mile, the way that you say that. That's a great way to put it. I agree with you as far as, the cost of shoes now. It is pretty crazy. I mean, I've been very grateful for, my whole career having, well, yeah, not having to pay for shoes. But before I started, I mean, I literally bought one, maybe two pairs of shoes a year. I could not afford
wow.
it. And it was like, I'd buy them on clearance. You look for clearance at, like, Running
Yeah,
Warehouse for shoes. And so I always keep that in mind. Like, when I'm recommending something, it isn't because I just feel like, oh yeah, everyone gets just sent shoes and has tons of money to budget these
yeah,
things. It's people are actually really trying to find the best thing because maybe they only get to buy two pairs of shoes a year. So I think your feedback is really powerful. Athletes like you who are putting in hundreds and, I mean, thousands of miles a year on their shoes, you actually, I mean, you are the expert in shoe feedback, for what works for you, for your terrain, for the distances you do. Is the shoe like what's the drop on it?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's
I
not
wish I was
zero,
able to.
right?
I'm not a gearhead. It's not a zero
Okay.
drop. No, I think it's probably somewhere in the ballpark of like 4 millimeters, maybe.
I
But I'm
like
not
4.
gonna. I don't
4
know.
to 6 is my
Yeah,
jam.
something.
Mhm.
Yeah, something. I mean, they're super excellent. Like, I'm
Mhm.
happy to talk to somebody if you'd like to try a pair. I don't know how that would work, but but
Yeah.
I really do like them a lot. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been doing it a while, just like you have, and I mean, I remember freaking out when I bought $100 pair of running shoes. I was like, this is absurd. So looking now and seeing that they're like $300+ is just like, okay, like I need to figure out how I can logically make this work. Because to me, it's just like everything is getting so expensive, and like sometimes I think it's getting expensive for no reason.
Mm.
But if I can decide that like, well, this shoe is lasting and it's, it's worth, and again, I do like the dollar per mile metric. I think I've been kind of inadvertently doing that with a couple pairs of shoes anyway. So now it's just like, well, I can help bring relevance to why this costs so much for people who might be balking at that price point too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
feels important to me. Because
Yeah.
I don't want ultra running to be elitist and like only have a certain type of person in it. Like it is expensive, but like if you're really passionate about something, then like you can figure out a way to make it work. But if you're on a budget, like I have been my entire life,
Mhm.
like you really do need to have a reason why you're spending money on the things that you're buying. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that insight. Yeah, no, it's so good, and I know that you'll probably end up getting some DMs and messages, that I think will help people. But I think just what you shared alone is really helpful, and people feel seen in that too. Rachel, one of the things I love to do on my podcast, it is running many times on this podcast is the metaphor to life. We don't just talk running news on here. I love just to share real stories and really help showcase who people really are. And I'd love for people to get to know Rachel. And so let's talk a little bit just about you. Like, where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your family and how you got started into running.
yeah. So I grew up in the Southeast U.S. So I was born in Birmingham, Alabama. We almost immediately moved to Texas, and then moved to South Carolina, back to Alabama. Then I moved to North Carolina for a year to do rehab. More on that later. And then back to Alabama for college. And then so that's kind of where I guess I grew up. All of my family is still in Alabama. So everybody's in the Southeast. But yeah, I started running. I was actually always overweight growing up in the Southeast because the weather's pretty brutal and it doesn't really encourage you to go outside and do anything. And then obviously, like the diet is pretty terrible most of the time. So I grew up overweight and really self conscious about that.
Rachel, when you talk about the diet in the Southeast, we also have international runners and people who have also never traveled.
Gotcha.
Yeah, tell us just a little bit about that. I love talking about food and health and all that. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, everything is, I guess not everything. This is not fair, but the food that is cheap to get is unhealthy. So it's fried, everything. I mean, I think every vegetable basically we have is either fried or in grease, which makes it taste great.
Yeah.
Um, but whatever. And I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't care necessarily, but it did translate to having a body that I didn't like being in. And then my senior year of high school, a couple big kind of tragic life things happened. And my response to that was I felt like I was losing control. And so the thing that I decided I could control was my diet. And the way that I did that was by eating basically nothing. So I developed a really bad eating disorder, wound up needing to be in inpatient rehabilitation twice for it, which lasts probably, I would say, like 14 months.
Wow.
So I had to delay my first year of college to work on my health, which I recommend. And then kind of through the process of like figuring out, okay, well, I can't keep living this way. So like, what can I do to stay healthy in a way that actually makes sense? And that was kind of when I discovered running. I'd always grown up playing sports, like I played soccer and basketball, and I dabbled in basically everything.
What
Um,
position were you as a soccer player? I played soccer too.
I played almost every position. I hated forward,
Yeah.
because I have no ball handling skills. I just have enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So, um,
And you can
yeah,
run forever. Soccer builds endurance, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I started at sweeper, and then moved up to stopper, and then eventually was center mid
Okay.
for like
And did you play
obviously.
did you
Yeah.
yeah, did you play that all through high school? Was that like your sport?
Through high school, yes, and then once I got to college, I started playing intramurals. So
Okay.
I wasn't good, but I could just what it is funny, I guess it was like a precursor to what eventually would happen because I could run forever. Like, I never wanted to be off the field, no matter, like, what my, like, health actually looked like. I just loved, running around on the field and, like, chasing the ball. The idea of running was always fun to me, but it was just like once I got out there doing it and it was hard, I was just like, "This is stupid. I'm not doing this."
Was your family active? Did you guys grow up doing stuff together?
I don't mean this in any bad way, but my family is probably a little more traditional.
Mhm.
Like, they have really conservative values. My brother, and that's not to say that I wasn't supported in sports because I was. My mom was really active in high school in sports, as was my dad. I think I don't know, my brother's sports were always a little bit more. He went to a private school that and he made, like, the basketball team that went to state, and so it was always just, like, I was always doing some sport, but, I don't think that was necessarily what my parents wanted from me. For me, it was always I knew I loved school, I loved studying, I loved being good at classes and making A's, so for me, it was always like, "Well, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna be a doctor." So that was always kind of like the end goal for me was, like, go to school, get a good job, and then my brother I guess they encouraged me to do sports, but even as I've gotten older, it's been a little hard to, like, talk to my parents about, like, "Hey, I really like this thing, though. Like, I can do this thing professionally." And, like, I know that that means that certain gender stereotypes are probably less likely to happen on a timeline that they're used to. Like, almost all of my friends are married with kids,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I'm neither of those things. And I know that my parents and I have had a lot of conversations about, like, what my future looks like and am I going to have kids? Because my brother has probably chosen not to. So he's older than me, so it's like, well, I'm the last chance to, like, do this. And I've felt that pressure over the years, and I've felt their disappointment with, like, "Hey, I don't think this is in my cards because I would prefer to do this other thing."
Mm.
So that's been a little something I've worked through over the last, like,
That's
decade or
really
whatever.
hard. I thank you for bringing that up. I remember. I mean, I got married really young, 23, had kids, and I'm older than you, but I think that my mindset always is like once you have kids, you're kind of done. Like you're kind of done pursuing your dreams. You're kind of done going after things that set your heart on fire because you're 100% all in on raising children, which I do have
Exactly.
to say that like being a mom has been my greatest joy. Like I always wanted to be a mom. Like I've loved it. But I also believe that as a mom, like you actually have the front row seat and you have the ability to teach your kids how to pursue their dreams. And so I figured that out for myself. And I was not met very well in my community with that. I was like the weird mom that was always running, and I'd bring my kids on the trails with me. But like my goal was to kind of defy that. I was like, I don't want to go to like a mommy group and just like sit around. Like I want to be on the trails. Like I want to like pursue my dreams and show my kids how to do that too. So I love this conversation because I'll tell you what, Rachel, it's not easy. And sometimes the people
Yeah.
closest to us who love us, like, don't understand us. And that's where it hurts the most. Cause you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know me, you can see that this is my passion and I love this. And like, I just need you to support me. And I think that, it's important for you to know that sometimes your greatest dreams and your accomplishments can feel super lonely at times, but it is worth it.
Yeah.
And you have such a gift and a talent, a powerful voice. You are right where you're supposed to be. And should you ever become a mama, that's like
Yeah.
you do that when it feels right, right?
And I mean, I do think that, I've seen a lot of women who have had kids and then come back and just destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
For me, it just hasn't ever. I've always been so pulled in a bunch of different directions, either through like, I have a very taxing job and like
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know. I just couldn't imagine like one more thing pulling me away from
Yeah.
like what I wanted to pursue.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's and I'm not, I don't know. I'm always just like shocked at women who, like Rachel Drake and like Leah Yingling who have kids in like the, quote unquote prime of their career kind of
Mhm.
thing. And then like undoubtedly come back and just like almost pick up right where they left off. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I've had to like mourn the fact that I don't think that that's in my cards.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I really do. I love this. I don't at this point I don't have any regrets about the path that I've taken. Other than like I just applaud like the moms who are able to do seemingly everything. Like I am just not. I can't diversify my portfolio quite that much.
Well,
Much to the
nothing is
disappointment of my
ever off
parents.
the table, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, but I do agree with you, and I completely support like that idea. I talk to a lot of women that feel like that, and also like not every woman wants to be a mom too, and that's
Yeah.
okay. I think that that's the beauty of having your own unique life. You get to live your life for all that it's meant to be. But I think the beauty in it also is like sometimes we end up in places we never thought we would be, right? And
Yeah.
so it's just
And
yeah, yeah, like and sometimes when, people are having kids all around us, we can feel like, "Oh my gosh, like I guess that just isn't for me because I don't feel like that's where I want to be." But it's crazy how things can change and suddenly you find a desire change or you feel like, "Okay, maybe this season's right." But I think being bold enough to embrace where you are and what's really setting your heart on fire in that season, dude, stand
yeah.
confidently in that, and know that yeah, you're right where you're supposed to be. But I really appreciate you sharing that because I get emails and message. I have my whole career from wives and also just single women who have had conflict or disagreements or tension within their families because they're trying to pursue something. And it's a hard
Yeah.
topic for people to talk about because
Yeah.
most of these women are talking about family and best friends. It's not like this random like loser on the internet who's just criticizing and being a jerk, right? Um,
Yeah.
I think it's harder when it's the people that you love the most.
Yeah, and I really only feel like I've had the support of my parents, probably this year, especially with my history of, like, eating disorders and, like, with that came using exercise in a way that was really unhealthy, and so I'm certain I gave my parents PTSD, so for them, it was just like, they're watching me go out and run something that is literally called an ultra
Mhm.
marathon, and they look at that as like, "Well, why do you have to do this? Like, we don't understand why you're doing this." And for them, I mean, I'm sure it was really scary because, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't need to like guess why they freaked out about it, but yeah, so and they never really like been to any of my events until really this year. And it's been, I mean, I've been running for over a decade. So they wound up coming to Cocodona 250 this past year. And fortunately, I had a great race.
Amazing
Um,
race.
so that was
Yeah,
nice.
his
Yeah, it was
his
nice. Like I
let's
had,
just say a historical race. It was jaw-dropping
um,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I remember they were set to meet me at mile 200, I think in like 20 or something like that,
Wow.
right at Fort Tuttle. And I remember I was being paced by my partner Kevin at the time, and like about 10 miles out from knowing that I was about to see my parents, I just like could not stop crying. So like the entire 10-mile stretch of just like, oh my God, I cannot believe my parents are here. And like I can't believe they're about to like,
Yeah.
like I feel supported by my parents for the first time. Sorry.
No.
Um,
I'm feeling that
but
in my core. You have no idea.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, I saw them and it was just like this incredible moment. They had cowbells and like little signs and stuff. And it was just like, all right, we did it. Like it just felt so like good to put, like, it felt like for the first time we were able to put the past behind us And my parents were able to get on board with like, hey, I do like running, and hey, this is healthy for me, and this does make me feel stronger and more powerful. Like, I'm not running away from anything. I'm not doing this so that I can control stuff. Like, I'm literally doing this because I love it. And my parents were able to see that for the first time and see how supported I was by my crew and the community. And it was just like, all right, we sold them. So, I mean, they've watched every race I've done since. They haven't been there physically, but like they've tuned into the live stream. I get text messages at like 3 a.m. when I finished High Lonesome. They were like, "Oh my gosh, good job!" It's like awesome, like cool. So yeah, it's this year has been really nice and kind of that character arc of like my parents finally not asking like in a judge or what I perceive to be like a judgmental way, like about my running. It's more of like, oh well, what are you doing next? And like they're actually interested in are open to the idea of like me pursuing this as a career instead of just like a way to run away from stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, nice story arc this year with the parents and the growing up with. I don't know. I mean, I think my parents obviously were just, they came very close to losing me, and I get why they would be really hesitant to me going out and doing something else that's pretty extreme. But yeah, I think we finally, after almost a decade and a half, we've gotten there. So I'm really thankful for that happening this year.
That is so powerful. You need to know there's a lot of people listening who relate to this, and family's hard. It is because they've known us the longest, right? They've seen all the ups and downs, and so sometimes you want to think like, oh, I've known them forever. They're not going to change, or I know what they're going to do. But in your situation, it's like you have grown so powerfully, Rachel, in what you've overcome, and you haven't just grown powerfully. You've become a leader, a bright shining star in this sport. You're changing things. You're making waves. You're making history, and I think that you're kind of like shocking your parents and in the best way, right? But I think that this is just so inspiring. You've stuck to what you love, and you've done such an amazing job at it. I love that you shared that. I really appreciate that. Are you can you share a little bit with us what was it that happened when you were younger that kind of triggered your eating disorder? And you don't even have you don't have to go you don't have to go super deep if you don't want to. This is definitely the podcast where we do that. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to share all my family's drama, but for me personally, it just, there were issues with my parents' relationship where everything felt really uncertain. There were issues with relationships with I had my first boyfriend that I loved forever, that kind of fell apart my senior year. He was a year older than I was and went off to college, and like, obviously it didn't last. And then, I always felt really self-conscious about how I looked, and nobody ever made me feel that way. It just, I don't know. Like, you look at my best friend in high school was this like 6 foot tall model, like not even kidding. And so I always just was like the funny fat kid. But I watch her, going out with people that I had crushes on. And it's like, well, I'm not going to hold that against her, but like, it makes you feel terrible. And the only solution that I had was like, well, I'm fat. And like, that's just like something that I felt unable to change. And so eventually, like I said, all the crap kind of hit the fan all at once my senior year. And yeah, I mean, it's funny. I like, growing up, it's never about food, it's never about your relationship with food, but like growing up, I had some disordered behaviors, I think, looking back. But it just kind of full blown. It was like the easiest thing I could think of to control was what I put into my body and what I made my body do. And so that just, and my parents were busy trying to deal with their own issues. And so I got away with it for a long time. I lost weight. I got compliments. I went from having no prom dates my junior year to 6 prom dates my senior year. And like, that is like, that is not the encouragement you need to stop doing something. Unfortunately, our society is really focused on a certain way that people look. And so once I started fitting myself into that mold, albeit not in a good way, things did get easier for me until they didn't, obviously. But yeah, so I don't know. I finally kind of realized, like, I think I passed out at my boyfriend's house.
Wow.
And
Your
it
senior
was
year?
in, I think,
Is your
do what?
senior year in high school?
Senior year. Yeah, my
Okay.
senior year. Yeah, I was really unhealthy. So I passed out on his porch when I was about to leave. So like, thank God I hadn't gotten in the car. But yeah, and that was kind of and my friends had like talked at school about, like, how worried they were about me, and I just, like, didn't listen to them. And, again, my parents are, like, dealing with their own stuff and, like, not paying as much attention as they should. But after that, I was kind of like, "Okay, maybe this is a big deal." And then I think, like, a week later, I came home from probably the gym and just, like, walked into the house, and there's just, like, a circle of chairs with, like, 6 to 8 people just sitting there, and they're like, "Okay, so what are we gonna do about this?" Like, full on, like, intervention.
Intervention.
Yeah. Which I needed, and I was open to at the time. And I remember, like, telling my parents, like, "I think I do need rehab. Like, I think I need to go somewhere because I am so far." It hadn't been that long. I mean, I know women that I met at rehab who've had issues for years. And I'd only really been working on, like, a year at that point. Not to say that it made it any easier to, like, get over, but yeah, and so, I was able to recognize pretty quickly, and, like, fortunately, I had a really close group of friends that were like, "Alright, you need help." And I was receptive to actually receiving it. It did take me twice. I pretended the first round of rehab
Mm.
that I was fine, and then I immediately got out and was like, nothing's changed." Um, so
Wow.
the second time, I've met a bunch of people who have, like, gone to rehab for various things, that it takes them 2 times. Because like, the first time, you don't know what you're doing. Like, I think you need that taste of, like, "Oh, people can be normal, and, like, these are the tools that you're supposed to use," but then you go home and you're just so overwhelmed by, like, crap, I went to rehab in North Carolina, which was not Alabama. Like, I needed physical space to kinda deal with my issues, especially without, like, in Alabama at that point, like, our town was pretty small. Everybody knew I was the anorexic girl, and, like, that was just a lot to deal with. So I wanted to go somewhere else. Um, so the second time I went to rehab, I kinda recognized, "Okay, I cannot do this the same way or I'm going to have the same result." So I did inpatient, I did their partial program where I lived off-site but went every day. I did, lived off-site, got a job, like, came to group meetings, and then finally it was like, "Okay, I think I'm actually ready to, like, go home and, like, see how this translates."
How
Because I,
long
like, worked mentally down.
how long was that stint?
Um,
Well, the first one and then the second one.
yeah, the first time I was there, I think 4 months.
Oh,
It's been so
wow.
long, I don't really remember, but I think 4 months the first time, and then, the second time was, like, I don't know, like, probably 8. Like, 6 to 8,
Yeah.
probably. I was there a long time. It was very expensive. I'm thankful that my parents, like, I mean, I'm sure parents would do anything for their kids, but,
Yeah.
like, it is not lost on me, how much they sacrificed for me to be able to get the help I needed.
Yeah, that
Um,
is really expensive and incredible you had that support. Incredible too, just your mindset and you're young, you're a kid. And I
yeah,
and this is not uncommon, Rachel. I think we would probably be surprised sometime just in our I mean, I got 2 teenagers, so it's like I'm around kids all the time, and it's heartbreaking because you know how hard some kids are trying to cover it up, and you see kids
yeah,
struggling. It's embarrassing to talk about. You know, it's embarrassing just to share that. And even though it's being talked about more and more now, like when I was in high school, no one talked about it. And now it's like you do hear about it more, like in social media. Coaches talk about it more to the girls' teams and things like that, which I do appreciate that. But I think just the first step of at the end of the day, you have to choose to make the change.
yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
easy.
and I think you have to make because, I feel very lucky in the sense that, like, I don't even know how I did that at this
Mhm.
point. Like, that seems so unappealing to me to, like, restrict my diet so much that, like, I'm rendered unconscious. Like, that's not something that I don't understand how I did that or why, really,
Mhm.
at this point. But, yeah, I do feel very lucky that I'm able to be at this point, but it was not like a switch that second time I got out of rehab. Like, I had relapses, but I was in outpatient therapy, and, like, I had to, like, it was a choice for probably, I'd say 6 years. It was a choice that I made every single day to, like, one of the things that I learned in rehab was this, method of changing your brain by doing something called opposite action. So it's like the thing that you are scared of that you don't wanna do, like, you're gonna do that thing anyway, and it's probably all gonna be fine. And so, I mean, I did that. I practiced that every single day for years until it was finally, like, that thing that I was afraid of. I'd proven to myself that it wasn't a big deal. And, like, people are still gonna love me no matter how I look and no matter, like, whatever I'm eating or, like, whatever stupid thing I worked into being such a huge deal. Like, at the end of the day, like, I am the one who needs to not care about those things. So, yeah, it was not easy, but now it's just like I've heard in the past that, like, eating disorders are something that you have to live with forever, and maybe that's true, but I don't think it has to be. Like, I do think that if you really commit yourself to the bit, it's always something that lives there, but, like, I have so many tools to recognize, like, all right, I feel like I am in a weird place. Like, what is going on here? Like, how, am I feeling insecure about something? Am I feeling overwhelmed by something? Like, am I nervous about something? Like, let's fix that so that we don't just, like, fall into this stupid coping mechanism that, like, I don't want to use anyway. So yeah, it's been weird journey, but we're, I think, like, fully on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
That's so
Yeah.
powerful. I hope that you continue to share about that. Like I said, there's tens of thousands of people that listen to this podcast. I know that you have already just encouraged other people to be brave too, because yeah, it's a topic a lot of people can relate to, and I think that idea of like, oh, it's with you forever. The reality is, as humans, we're imperfect. We all struggle with someone. We all have our things that we struggle with. That's just part of being a human being. I think about some other past guests that I've had on here who've overcome addiction as well, and it's like, yeah, you're just always aware of it. You're aware of what you've overcome and the power and strength that you have to do that, and then just always being aware of, yeah, I don't want to do that again. And
Yeah.
I think that, the point though, I think for a lot of people, what they struggle with is they actually feel like they don't have the strength and the courage to do it. And so they just feel stuck and they just stay there. And so, the support that you had from your parents and just the willingness that you had is admirable.
Yeah.
And I hope that people listening that are struggling can gain some strength from what you've shared.
And I think there's a lot of people that have addictions that wind up falling into this, like, category of ultra running. And I will say, like, definitely, it took me a while to figure out, like, well, what is the healthy balance of, like, running this insane amount of miles and, like, figuring out how to do that while maintaining a healthy weight or being, eating everything that I need in order to sustain that hobby. Like, ultra running has kind of saved my life in that way and taught me, even though it's such an extreme sport, it taught me a lot about, like, I would rather be strong at and be good at going these distances than, like, look a certain way. Like, that to
Yes.
me feels so much more powerful than, like, how I look. So, and running really did teach me that. Like, and it's funny because, like, over the last couple of years, I've learned so much about, like, nutrition, and I think a lot of women tend to underfuel when they do events, and I was certainly one of those. Kind of, like, accidentally just not eating even close to enough. But this year at Cocodona, I finally started working with a nutrition sponsor with Precision, and, like, figuring out, like, oh crap, like, I'm really not doing enough. And I figured out my nutrition. I avoided the Blanc I had last year. Managed to shave, like, almost 10 hours off
Yeah,
my
it was
time.
insane.
And I yeah, and I really do, obviously there's a lot of factors that go into play. The weather is different. I had a different crew.
It was
I
worse
don't
weather.
know.
That was what was so amazing about it. I'm like, you had mud bricks on your shoes and you went faster.
That did suck. But I liked the weather. I mean, I came from Colorado. That was what I'd been training in all season. But yeah, and so I do equate a very huge percent of how I did so much better to, like, well, I was eating enough to, like, sustain a high intensity that entire time. So yeah, I mean, it's taught me a lot about, like, hey, if you fuel yourself, you're actually going to be able to, like, be much better at this thing you like doing. So nice lessons.
Amazing.
Thanks, Ultrarunning.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I hear that all the time too. That running has saved people's lives. I think you have two sides of that. You see how it has saved you, and it's very clear though that you also just have a pure love for it. It sounds like you've always just loved to move and be outside, and I'd love to pivot into that. So how was it that you came about running your first ultra? Because as I had opened with, I don't think a lot of people know how long you've been doing ultras. I think people think you just came into the scene the last few years, and I'm like, no, she's been on the podium for
No.
like the last decade.
Yeah. I'm like almost OG status.
Yeah.
As OG as I could have been, being born in 1991. But yeah, so I discovered I got into road running first. So I did marathons. I think I did my first marathon in 2010. So I did my first half in maybe 2009 or early 2010. And I did road marathons forever. I really didn't get into trail until probably 2013. I did my first 50K.
So 12 years ago. So you've been running trail for 12 years, people, and started endurance running 16 years ago. Okay, 15 years ago. Well, it'll be 16 and we're going on 26. Yeah, that's so for almost two decades you've been an endurance athlete. Wow. Okay, so you did road marathons. Did you really enjoy that distance? Did you love the marathon distance?
I did like it. I liked it because it was there's so many people. It was very social. And it was hard, at the time, like running 26 miles is hard no matter what. But that was what I knew. That was what I saw. I lived in the Southeast and marathons are somewhat popular there. Like I did Birmingham, the city I went to school in, they had a marathon that I did like 7 years in a row. Like every year I lived there, I did it. You kind of meet a group of people that like all do the same races. And so I would just like hop on anytime. And then during one of my marathons, I met a trail runner, and that's kind of how I got introduced to like the trail scene. Because he basically encouraged me like the next week to go out and do this. Like it was a trail marathon.
Yeah.
But it was very different. And so it took me a little bit of time to like get invested in the trail space because it is so much slower. And at the time I was like, anything more than 4 hours, like that's too long. And so in that first trail marathon, I think took me like 4.5 hours. And I was like, this is so stupid. Like this is so inefficient. But yeah, eventually I wised up, and yeah, by 2013, I think I did a bunch of 50Ks and then did some 50 milers, kind of stuck with that distance. For a long time, I discovered fixed time. That was kind of a way to bridge. Because, I mean, going from a 50 miler to like, I know there's 100K, but like, come on, it's only 10 more miles. Going from a 50K or a 50 miler to a 100 miler was a huge unknown for me. And so I discovered fixed time racing, did a bunch of 12-hour runs. You control so much in that format.
Totally.
And it also is like really, again, you have kind of the same people that do it.
Which, by the way, Rachel, this is where I first met you. Dude, Jackpot Ultra 2023. You were running loops with
Jeff Garmeyer?
Yes. And I just remember telling Eddie, you two were such a joy. I couldn't believe it. Every time because you guys were doing the 48-hour. You guys were insane. But I am not kidding that you guys left such an impression upon me because you talked the entire time and had so much joy and so much energy. I just could not. I remember telling Eddie, I was like, I could not believe how much energy and joy that couple has. Like it was crazy. But that was the first time I've ever done a race like that because I don't like loop courses typically or 24-hour races, but I was doing it as an experiment because I was just coming into the 200s and I was like, I'm gonna run 100 miles as a training run, and then the next day just continue my running. So I did like my peak week. I had run like 100 miles before, and then the next day I just showed up and I did Jackpot Ultra. I was absolutely wrecked. I was so wrecked. But you guys were just bubbling along just the entire time, and little did I know you were doing 48 hours.
It was super fun. To this day, that those race photos are my favorite ones I've ever taken. Because like Jeff and I were just like being idiots. Like we did the hands on the ground and like other person holds your feet like wheelbarrow
Oh my
thing, and
gosh.
like the race photographer like got pictures of it. We swapped clothes, and like I think at one point I don't remember all exactly what we did, but like it was so funny. Like those I think actually recently I was looking at those race photos and just like cackling.
Oh my gosh. And
Um,
you ran
it
like
was so
over
funny.
200 miles?
I almost ran 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had traveled there together, and he was pushing himself really hard. Like he really wanted the 200-mile
Yeah.
distance, and I didn't really care. Like I had already PR'd my 48-hour by that point.
What was
Um,
it? What was
so it,
what did you end up getting?
uh, so I think I went from like my PR at that point was like 160 in a 48, and I
Yeah.
think I ended that race at like 192.
Which is
So I
okay.
was like
190 miles in 40 hours. What did you run Cocodona in?
60, almost 4.
Okay,
So 60,
so just for our listeners, because you and I could probably talk 200s like it's just like we're just drinking water. It's no big deal. We think it's normal, and all the details is like, yeah, everyone knows this, right? There's a lot of people that do not know anything about 200s that listen to this. We sound crazy right now. Okay, so help me just like Rachel, let's help people understand. Cocodona 250 and Jackpot Ultra are very different routes. Like we're
very
talking
different.
flat. You can see the
Flat
whole loop
versus
from one spot.
eight every, really
There
don't have to carry.
to carry anything. The weather was amazing the
Yeah,
entire time.
yeah. Yeah, they're very different events,
So you
but yeah,
did 60 more miles on torrential terrain with, 30, 40,000 feet of climbing in another
yeah,
like 15, 18 hours is just,
yeah.
I
It's weird when you
just,
think about it that way, but my PR now is different. It's about 200 and almost, I think 220
20. Yeah.
miles. But I also had pneumonia when I did
Oh
that.
my
So
gosh.
I think I've left a little bit on the table with the 48-hour event, but especially after Cocodona this year, and like I did the Mammoth as well.
Yeah.
I really
Mammoth.
like,
Wow.
yeah, I like the trail or like, fixed distance races. I think that's a little bit more of what speaks to me, but the fixed time races, like I really want to go back and do a 12-hour and just see like, all right, like what, cuz my PR there I think is 73 miles, which
Oh
is
my
pretty fast. Like
gosh.
that's a 9-minute pace for like
Mhm.
the whole
You
time,
need to go do
including
Tunnel
plow.
Hill or something.
I don't know
That's a
about
that's
that,
a
but
loopy
and
fast
plow is,
run. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting to play around with those like I'm actually just moved to Buena Vista, and Addie Bracy lives here.
Oh, I
She's like
love her. She's
so
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's doing a winter speed series for women. And I just
Really?
did my first, yeah, baby's first speed workout last Thursday. And like it's actually been really fun to like try something else that isn't just like, all right, because I've never had a coach. I only this year got a watch. Like I don't know what I'm
Wow.
doing. I just go out and go for like runs. And yeah, so it's been kind of nice to like do something a little different
Mhm.
this year. So I'm excited to see if that translates to anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty motivated to do well at Cocodona again this year. And so it's like, well, maybe doing like speed work once a week will help me do
Yeah,
that.
that's so cool that a big shout out to Addie Bracy, a friend of mine, a phenomenal athlete, has been competing hard and has been at the top since she was in college. And she won that golden ticket this year at Javelina 100, put on an incredible performance. Is that speed thing something anyone can join, or do you have to kind of be
Well,
at
you
a
have to
certain
do, I mean,
pace?
oh no, anybody can join. It's for the whole Arkansas Valley.
Oh,
So
amazing.
Leadville, Ponca Springs, Salida, Buena Vista. I imagine anybody that is in town can come. It's super fun.
So cool.
Um,
I love
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna do my first track workout, this, I guess tomorrow. Because last time it was like, it was so funny because she was like, "Yeah, at half marathon or 10K pace," and I was like, "Addie, I don't know, like, what
I
is that?
calculate that.
I don't know what that is.
Your cat in
Is
the
it like a
back.
oh, no, they're wrong." Yeah. Um,
I love it.
yeah, they're both on top of the
Yeah.
cabinets. But yeah, so it's kind of been I feel like such a dork there, because it's just like everybody knows their paces, and I didn't even know how to do like a timer on my watch. Like I don't know
Yeah, where
anyway.
you hit it for the intervals?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't. It was 3 minutes on, 90 seconds
Yeah.
off, and I was just like, "Oh, Addie, I'm just gonna stay with you because I don't know. You seem fast," and like that seems like I I would like to try to stay with you, and you're also going to tell me what time it is. So it worked out in my favor, but I would like to figure out, I don't know, it's another tool to have in the running toolbox of like, well, cool. It's been really cool to watch Courtney expand on her abilities by doing all this, I would imagine, like road running speed work.
Mhm.
'Cause yeah, I mean, I have been doing this a long time, and it's like I love trails, and I'm never going to stray away from trails, but like it's been fun to try something new.
Mhm.
Um, at least so far. I've only done it for a week, but it's been fun. It was a fun week, so I'm excited to go back.
I'm loving iRestore's latest skincare products. Their Renew Calming Facial Spray is amazing, especially for dry skin. It gives instant hydration, calms irritation, and helps firm your skin. And when used before the Illumina Red Light Face Mask, it enhances the benefits of the therapy. I also suggest pairing the Renew Calming Facial Spray and Anti-Aging Eye Cream with your Illumina Face Mask so you can see even better results. Give your skincare the love it deserves. For a limited time, subscribe and save 25% off or more, plus free shipping on iRestore Skincare, and our listeners are getting a huge discount on the iRestore Illumina face mask when you use code SALLY at iRestore.com. So head over to iRestore.com and use code SALLY for our show's exclusive discounts. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Unlock your best skin with iRestore.
Boncharge is a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life in every way. Founded on science and inspired by nature, all Boncharge products adopt ancestral ways of living in our modern-day world. Their extensive range of premium wellness products help you sleep better, perform better, have more energy, recover faster, reduce inflammation. The list is endless. Our favorite product from Boncharge is their infrared sauna blanket. If you're looking to ease stress and unwind, the sauna blanket can do just that. The infrared heat and your elevated heart rate, all while relaxing, releases endorphins, which can leave you feeling euphoric after your session. It takes less than a minute to set up, heats up quickly, and you'll feel revitalized and less stress after sessions. And they offer free shipping on every sauna blanket, no hidden costs. Go to boncharge.com and use coupon code SALLY to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com and use coupon code SALLY to save 15%.
Rachel, you shared like 4 different things I want to talk about all at once. You've never had a coach, you never did track workout, you just got to watch. I mean, I'm like, wait, what? I'm seeing a lot of the top women, they come from being trained by a coach. A lot of them a lot of the top women right now, they either ran or skied in college. And we're seeing a lot of the top women, they have a speed season where they're doing the cross country races, they're doing road marathons. It's almost like, man, if you want to be at the top in the sport, you got to be fast on every single terrain. I mean, it's changed so much from when I first came into the sport, and I love that. And I think that helps legitimize the sport. But I also really love that you did not come from any of that. You don't have knowledge of that, and you're crushing everyone. So, let- yes, I totally agree. I love that you speak to that. And so let's kind of pivot back because you were telling your story, and I'm sorry, I'm a tangent person, ADD all over the place all the time. But like you were saying how a friend introduced you into trail. You kind of fell in love with these timed events. You were 50-mile was like your jam. Please share. I want you to kind of stand in confidence in how you were doing in all these races too, because I looked you up on Ultra Sign Up.
Good.
You weren't
Yeah.
like 50th place. You
Yeah.
you came in and you were good.
Yeah, I did pretty well at all of them. I mean, obviously, in the Southeast, there's not as, especially on the women's side. Like I remember I think my first trail marathon I did, I mean, there weren't a lot of women.
Mm-mm.
So, and like I was at a couple 50Ks where it's like, okay, it is me and like 4
Yep.
women, all of whom are like decades older than me. Like
Yep.
I was the youngest by a lot. So, but it was really nice to like get into the sport and like almost immediately be podiuming things. It was like, huh, all right, cool.
That feels
All
great.
right, we can do this. Yeah. Yeah. So I dabbled with the Southeast. And I always joke that if you start running in the Southeast, then you genuinely like running because it is not easy to run in the Southeast. It is hot. There are bugs. You get to the top of this just like rocky, technical, grueling climb, and there's no view because it's trees. So like you really have to enjoy the sport and enjoy the people you're doing it with. And I did. But eventually I got out of school and I moved to Washington State, and that's where I was kind of like, okay, like these are trails and like this is competition and like got it. So yeah, I think I did my first 100 actually at a 24-hour race in Georgia, moved to Washington, and then started getting into, I was like, all right, let's do trail.
What year was that when you moved to Washington? You said that was after school?
16. Yeah.
So 2016,
2016.
you graduated school. Did you move to Washington to take a PT position? What was
Yep.
the?
Yeah. So I moved I say I moved for work, but what I actually moved for was for Washington. Like it was so unlike anything I'd ever seen. Like I'd never seen a glacier ever. And it was just so green and there were actually seasons. Which in the South, like you can get all the seasons in one day, or just like it's 95 degrees in December. Like no one knows what's going on down there. And so it was really nice to kind of have that like natural arc of like the year. And so yeah, I moved for a job. That job was able to give me kind of an additional education. So I went through an orthopedic residency for physical therapy. And then worked at that job for like 4 years and then moved to California. Which is a bummer. I like never met you down there.
I
But
know.
guess
Where in California did you live?
I was in the west side of Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's probably why too. LA is like a different state from where I live.
Also, Los Angeles is like the second largest city in the
Yeah.
whatever. But it's just Ultrarunning was so small. It's like funny
Yeah.
that we met in Vegas.
Yeah, did you run like
but
in the Santa Monica Mountains and
Yeah.
up at Mount Baldy and
all the things. I ran
Oh
all the
my
things. I spent
that
a good
is
bit of
crazy
time.
then that I didn't meet you because I feel like the trail community here, we are tight knit. We all know each other and they're nice here. Our trail community is
No.
really like SoCal community is so nice. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we ran past someone. Maybe you're the one that has stolen all my course records on everything, all my Strava.
I think I did get something from you. I think it was the descent from Baden Powell.
Oh,
I got the
really?
descent from-
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
It was fun. I did it with Dominic Grossman.
Oh my god, I
right
love
before
Dom.
Mammoth.
He's so fun. Isn't he such a fun person?
Yeah, he's funny. I've started doing guest spots on his podcast between two
Oh
finds.
my
and it's
gosh.
like,
He keeps asking me to be on that. I'm terrified. It's so
oh,
funny
you should come
though.
on. I'll open it.
Okay.
It'll be less scary. But yeah, it's super fun. But yeah, I moved to Washington, kind of started doing more trail stuff out there. I really only did hundreds though. But I've done like Cascade Crest, I've done I Am Tough. I got introduced to the FKT scene a little bit more intricately. Like I did the Wonderland Trail, I think 3 times now.
Do you have that
I've done
FKT or any parts of it?
I have the unsupported group or whatever. Like I did it with Jeff Garmeyer a couple years ago. I had the solo unsupported for a long time, but then in 2020, someone took it from me, and I really want to get it back. It just hasn't worked out yet.
Yeah.
Because I think I could. I'd like to see if I could do it in under 24 hours because I think that's in the cards.
Is it hard with I love that you brought that up too. I think FKTs are so rad because FKTs are just like at the root of your passion, right? You have no pressure, no one telling you what to do. You do it when you want, how you want, and you either do it supported or not supported. You bring friends or you don't bring friends. I really love that. Do you think that now as you've grown in the sport, you're competing at the top, you're signed, is it a lot harder to go do FKTs if they don't work out with like a training schedule for a race?
Unfortunately, I think so. A lot of the times I would fit them into whatever like race I was signed up for next and just like, call Wonderland 100-mile training run for Crazy Mountain or whatever I was doing. But because I could figure out, like, I think right before Crazy Mountain, I think 2 weeks before I did Crazy Mountain when I was living in Los Angeles, I did the High Sierra Trail, which was 130 miles. It was just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing? I have a 100-miler in 2 weeks. It actually like counts for something.
I love that.
But it is a little hard. I mean, sponsors, no sponsor that I have worked with has pushed me into doing anything that I don't want to do, which is great. Because that was also like a big red flag for like, I don't know. I'm very opinionated on like what I want to do. And while I recognize the value in competition, like, what if I don't want to do this race? Like, I'm not going to perform well at a race that doesn't inspire me right now. And so, yeah, I've been incentivized to do certain things, and I am now interested in like, well, what happens if I do level up in the competition? Like next year, I really want to try to get into UTMB.
Oh,
That race,
yes.
it really looks like it would speak to a lot of things I'm good at.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, obviously I'm doing Cocodona, and that's a huge race that I want to do well in. But then I think, now that the lotteries are over and I'm sadly not doing Hard Rock, not that I'm that surprised.
Right?
So hard to
It is. You got to be part of the special group.
whatever. I'm gonna keep trying because I think
You
that's
should.
another race that I would.
You would
I think I'd
crush that race. I really would have loved to
And
see
I-
you on that lineup, especially the group of women that I see there.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
maybe there's a
cool.
se-
I'm over it.
yeah. Maybe someone will drop out and
But,
give you their bib. I don't think that's
I
allowed.
wish. But I do. I mean, I'm willing to. I didn't really expect to get in on my first stab. Like I respect like, okay, well, making me wait and like making sure that this is actually something that I want to do, fine. But it is something that I want to do. And so I'm just gonna I'm gonna have the season that I want to have, and like hopefully that'll be enough to prove that like I would be a good candidate for that race. But I mean, UTMB seems really cool. I speak French, so it's
You
like, all
do.
right, well,
Why did you
yeah,
just drop that so randomly? Are you French? Your family speaks it at
no, I'm
home,
not
or?
French. I minored in it in college, so I'm probably pretty rusty. Need to like download Duolingo.
But if you
like
go to France, it'll come back, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I've traveled to France twice, and like it's always been like, oh, okay, I can like get around. I just can't like conjugate into the passé simple.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so if we're in the present tense and like simple past and stuff, I'm good. But yeah, so I think that's kind of my, after Cocodona happens, that'll be kind of the next thing that I look towards is like, I'm signed up for Chianti, which will hopefully, I've never done a UTMB race before, so I need to get like stones, I guess. I don't know how it all works. But I'm gonna try to get my qualifier at Chianti and kind of also break the seal on like racing internationally. So if I do that, then So if I do that, then I'll do UTMB, which will be fun, I think.
For 2026? Yeah, that would be incredible. I'm a big fan of racing internationally. I think it's a great way to diversify your profile, your racing resume. Also, it's so different than racing United
know, I
States.
bet.
I started in 16 and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like they treat ultra runners differently. They approach the sport differently. It's like so sacred and celebrated, and yeah, I'd love to see you on that lineup at UTMB. That
I
sounds
think it would be fun.
super
I
exciting.
think it would be fun. And too, I think I've gotten enough confidence within the sport to actually feel like I belong on that start line with all these women that I look up to. And, I think that came at a good time too, because like, obviously I've got the sponsors. And again, while they haven't pressured me into doing anything, there is like, hey, we would love it if you did this, or like we would love it if you were also interested in this thing that we're interested in. And so now, again, that's been incentivized. I think my confidence is finally there. So it's like, well, why not? Like I'm 34, I'm not getting any younger. Might as well give it like this year I finally like quit my healthcare job, and like we're just gonna see what running can do, and like I don't expect this to last forever. So while I've got the opportunity, like I'm gonna
Go for it.
give it a whack. We're going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's full send. It's funny because I during Cocodona this year, I was like, all right, we're full sending it and like just seeing what happens. Because it's gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna work or it's not. And like I will learn something regardless. And what I learned was that I've been selling myself short. Like I have the capacity to do so much more than I thought. And obviously like Courtney was an excellent rabbit to chase. And like I genuinely do think that I could not have had the race that I had without her there. But now I know. Like now I know I can do this. So like High Lonesome, like I was out front the whole time, and like I didn't need somebody to chase. Like I was chasing the first place guy.
Wow.
Like I just want to, it's been a really transformative year, I think, in my running, because I've always been good, I guess, but I've also always downplayed, or like I've put asterisks by my own victories and been like, well, but nobody was there, or like, well, but like the person who was in first place dropped out, or like whatever. And I'm not interested in doing that anymore. Like
Good.
I had a really excellent season this year, and like I'm fine standing behind the things that I've accomplished, and I'm gonna use it to fuel the season that I want to have next year. So anyway,
We
2026.
yeah, we need more women saying that too. I actually just did a little post in my stories about that this morning. Just being okay with, a lot of times I think women, even top women in our sport, they're praised for like, they're always smiling in aid stations. They're so humble. And it's like, seriously? Like, what is it okay for us to just be like, yeah, I also worked my tail off. It took me a decade to get signed. I have a long list of accolades. Also, I work full time and I do A, B, and C. Like I did put in the work. This wasn't just because I'm smiling and humble. Like let's talk about how hard it was to get here and the dedication and the training that it takes. I think it's just it's so odd to me sometimes how we celebrate the genders in our sport. Like men are okay
Yeah.
with almost bragging about what they've done, and I'm like, yeah, you should brag. That's amazing what you did. I'm like, let's celebrate that, but also women step on up too. Like we're all in this together, and we need each other. I'm definitely not I don't ever take the stance of slamming and smashing men down in order for me to feel better about myself
Right.
as a woman. We are strong because we have each other. We all have strengths and weaknesses. But I think that in that same breath, it's like, let's celebrate the same way. And I'm celebrating you, Rachel. I think that you should continue to be really proud of what you've done and stop putting asterisks next to your name for things. It's you didn't just get lucky. So I think a back-to-back champion of Cocodona 250, and in the past couple of years, we've seen that field just get more and more competitive. But just looking at your times outright, whether people were there or not, is like
Yeah.
mind-boggling what you've been able to do.
Yeah. I think the Cocodona win followed by the high Lonesome like course record was pretty. I was like, oh, I might actually like. It's funny. It's taken me 12 years to be like, I'm good at this, but it was like, okay, well, I can try and I can succeed.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm happy to finally kind of feel that way, because I mean, I've always obviously known that like if I go to a race, there is a chance that I'd win, but I did always equate it to like, well, something else, somebody didn't show up, or something went wrong for somebody else, or I just got lucky.
Mhm.
Um, but now it's like, okay, well, I think that's stupid. I think I have put in a lot of work to get to where I am, and like, all right, so let's see how I stack up against these other people that I
Mhm.
look up to, you know?
I'd love to talk about that, Rachel, because you it's not like, you're just living at home running all day. You are working full time as a PT. Can we kind of talk about that and 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 really give us kind of a rough time frame or when that was and you're like, dude, I'm just gonna go for this. I need to go for it and just play my cards.
Yeah, so I mean, I've only not been working for less than 6 months.
Wow.
So the entire time I've been running, my entire running career, I was either in school for my doctorate degree or
Which is so
working
stressful.
full. Tell me about it. Looking back, I'm like, God, I would love to go back to school, because having a job is also pretty stressful. Especially in healthcare, especially during a pandemic. But yeah, so I was, yeah, either in school full time or working full time. And so it's funny because I was at a group run last night just here locally, and somebody was asking me like, "Yeah, how did you do it?" And I was like, "Oh, I just didn't sleep." Like you have to figure out how to like make it all work. And so the only way that I could get all that I wanted to accomplish was like, well, you sacrifice stuff. And like,
Mhm.
I definitely, most of my friends were runners, because that's like, if I have an 8-hour training run, like maybe somebody can go run with me, and like that can scratch the social itch. But yeah, I mean, the non negotiable definitely is like, well, you have to spend at least 40 hours a week in an office working, in order to like be able to do the races that you want to do. And yeah, it was really hard to, um, make all of that work. So,
Can you share with us really quick just about your job so I know that you were getting tell us like your title and like what a work day and training day was like.
so I guess I've had a couple titles over the years, but I was always just like a staff PT, so just like a regular PT. So what that looked like initially was I would usually work 4 10s. So I would have a day off somewhere in the middle there. I always liked when it was Tuesday or Wednesday because then I could just take Monday as a rest day after a huge weekend and then do like a long run. And then it usually involved at least one morning I was waking up at like 4:30 to like get in any sort of miles, like usually once or twice a week. I would do that. And then I would just go ham on the weekends. So that was training. And then I wound up getting really interested in oncology rehabilitation. So working with folks who have been diagnosed with cancer to like rebuild their strength and stamina during or after their treatment. I got really involved with breast cancer. I think it's a really fun population to treat. They're always, I guess I don't want to say always, but most of the time, like they're very motivated because their lives have been interrupted by this very rude disease and they want to get back to it as soon as possible. So like love working with those ladies.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I loved that profession, the chance to be the director of the oncology department
Oh wow.
when I was working in Los Angeles came up and so I took that. Which was another kind of hit to my training because it was a lot of meetings. It was definitely not a 40-hour-a-week job. It was like 50
Yeah.
easy.
And you're
Um,
a young
yeah, I
director.
was,
Brilliant.
yeah. But I loved that job. I just wish, I don't know what I wish. It was just hard to make it all work.
Yeah.
um, so, and my partner at the time actually wasn't a runner. And so it was like, really a lot to juggle.
Mhm.
So finally, expectedly almost, my life blew up and I like just was so overwhelmed with everything. I was living in a city that I no longer understood why I was there. I was having to drive 4 hours to get to mountains because I was either
Yeah.
stuck in traffic or like it was the Sierra and that's how far away they are.
Mhm.
And it was so expensive to live there. And
Ah,
like, in order to maintain that lifestyle, I had to keep excelling in my job and like keep climbing up the corporate ladder. And so it was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And so finally I'd always dreamed of doing travel PT because the pay is really good. The contracts are usually shorter. So you can work the same amount but get paid a little bit better, assuming you don't get screwed on housing. But yeah, so I picked up a travel contract, and that brought me to Colorado. Um, so once my travel contract ended, my partner Kevin has always been really supportive of me, like, and I think he probably recognizes too, like I have what it takes to like go for it, you know?
Mhm.
And so once my contract ended, he was like, we kind of sat down and I was like, hey, is this realistic for me to do right now? Like, do you like, am I going to screw us up financially if like I try to go for this? And he was really encouraging. And, I was able to save up money while working. So it just felt like the right time. It kind of worked out. I started pursuing trying to get a sponsor, which was definitely not easy, but we got here. And so yeah, now it's all kind of come together. It's been really nice. It definitely has not been without a lot of mental stress, and nights where I just like banged my head against a wall for like hours.
Yeah.
But we're here. And so yeah, I mean, I get the opportunity to like I didn't even know that you could do this professionally when I first started running. So it's pretty cool that like you can, and like now I get to. Because yeah, I mean, I have been doing it for so long. It's just like, well, I think it takes what, like a 10,000 hours to build like
Yeah.
expertise in an area, and I've definitely put in my time. So it's cool that I get this little opportunity, and it really worked out timing wise pretty well.
Yeah.
Because yeah, my job ended about a month before I did High Lonesome, and High Lonesome went really well, and I started kind of getting more attention, and then I was able to actually train like without having to get 4 hours of sleep a night for Mammoth, and, like, that obviously went pretty well for me. So it's like, cool, I can, like, actually I think the thing that's been the biggest change for me not working is I'm able to recover and I'm able to sleep. Um, because that was definitely the thing that was lacking during, Like for Cocodona, both years, I finished the race and then had to be back at work on Monday.
Oh my gosh.
So, you have like 3 days to recover, and then you're on your feet for 10 hours.
Well, people
and
don't
that
talk about the brain fog after 200s. It's so real.
Really all my patients were really cool about it,
Yeah.
especially this year. They were all just, like,
Dang.
shocked. But yeah, it was like, alright, and also too, like, I'm a PT, like, you have to demonstrate how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there,
Your
like, trying to do
equilibrium's like
yeah, like, trying to do I think we're gonna do, like, a single leg squat, and I was like, "Guys, you know what this looks like? We're gonna Google this video, like, I can't do this right now." So I did my recent job was 4 tens in a row. And so it was like, come back from Cocodona, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like 12-hour days. And then like Friday, I finally get to like sleep until 11 a.m. because like I'm exhausted. Yeah. So it is not lost on me like how much of a difference having an opportunity to make money through sport is. Because yeah, I mean, I have been like struggle busting my way to get here. And now that I'm here, it's just like, oh my God, like this is amazing. Like it's funny because I often feel guilty about how much time I have because usually I've had to like shove running in whenever I can. And I'm like waking up super early and like always doing something. And now it's like, cool, I don't really have all that like much I can fill my time with ways that I see fit. And that feels very foreign to me, and it feels like I should be doing more. But Kevin was like, Rachel, this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you're supposed to be sleeping as much as you can, and you're supposed to be like, recovering and like sitting on the couch and like eating good food and like going on 4-hour runs. Like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you're fine. So it's been nice to have that like voice of reason.
Yeah. He sounds like an amazing support to you, Rachel. You're so relatable. There's a lot of people listening, but also I just say in general, the vast majority of the population, they're all juggling, whether it's kids or school or a 60-hour a week job, family stress, being a guardian, or I think that it's really hard, and people do fall off the wagon and say, hey, I'll just save it for another season because it's just too much. And I really appreciate you sharing all that. You found a way to make it work. And I know that as a PT, I know that you would never say, okay, everyone just sleep 3 hours, 4 hours a night. But I
Don't
think
do what I did.
I know, but here's the thing. Because I remember when my kids were babies and I really want to be a stay-at-home mom, but the only way I could is like I that's how I became a running coach and a trainer. And back in 2007, I started my own business. I was like, I either am going to start my own business or got to go work for somebody. Like, as you said, California is so freaking expensive and you have to have 2 incomes to live here and raise kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost, unless you're like a trust fund baby. But it's like, which there's a lot of that here. But
Yeah.
I was like, I remember thinking I did the exact same thing. I just had to I was younger too. I mean, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you can kind of give up a little bit more sleep. But like, I just remember so many 4-hour nights. But when you really love and believe in something, I'm sorry, even outside of sport, you see this. You see it in musicians, actors, writers, people that will, I mean, even college students that are trying so hard to achieve a dream. And it's like, it's going to be for a season that you are like clawing at this goal. And then you look back now, Rachel, you're able to rest and sleep. And you know what? It paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I also too recognize like I will have to go back to that at some point. So while I'm in this position, like take advantage of it.
Yes.
It has been really hard to not I'm working on the guilt piece. I don't know where that's come from necessarily because I mean, I have hustled my way to get to this place. And so like, why am I guilty about that? But yeah, it's definitely a weird time for me because I've never been in the position where it's like, cool, I can like sleep in and that's okay. Cool. But yeah, it'll be an interesting transition and I think actually next year is already looking like it's going to be pretty busy. Like I've got some cool travel plans. I'm going to get to guest speak at my alma mater.
Oh,
PT.
amazing.
So like that'll be cool. So yeah, I mean, there's already a lot of travel that's on the book, so I don't actually think I'll have as much free time as I think I'm gonna have. But especially while the year is kind of wrapping up, and it's been interesting because it's like, cool, I don't really have anything to do. Awesome.
That's amazing. Well, we live like in a do more society, right? And when you work for so long in that, wherever we work, the expectations of our bosses and even just our colleagues is like, what do you mean you're taking a break? What do you mean you're not coming
Yeah.
in? Or why didn't you arrive early? And it's like you're just kind of trained to always be working harder than everyone else. And so when you're suddenly thrown into this, please rest and just run, it's like, wait, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of conversation, because I race a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I genuinely love signing up for races. And it's funny, I have raced over 1,000 miles this year,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is a fact that I've
Amazing.
learned.
Oh
Yeah.
my
I don't know how I don't maybe do that. I feel like I'm like this person who's like, don't do what I did. But yeah, that was a lot of miles.
Amazing.
But yeah, I'm very much somebody who is like, I've always been good at my job. I've always tried really hard at things that I am doing. So yeah, it is funny that this idea of just like, well, what you're supposed to be doing is resting between events and like taking an off season and like learning how to skate ski and like figuring out how to train in your winter environment kind of thing. Because last winter I like bullied my way through the Colorado winter because it's like, well, that's how I train, like that's all I know how to do. But yeah, it's like you can you can change stuff. It just because it doesn't look like what's always worked for you doesn't mean that trying something new isn't going to work. So that's what Colorado's taught me so far is like change is fine and like taking breaks is fine and like you're not going to lose fitness if you change it up. Like you're going to get right back on the horse and like it might be a little bumpy at first, but like you'll get back to where you were and you'll probably be better for the break. So
I feel like I need to have another podcast with you, Rachel, which I already have told myself I am going to, because you're sports PT, you helping people come back to doing what they love. I love that you talked about oncology. That was really beautiful. And just working with athletes. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. But I think that you are a true pro at recovery, rehab, knowing the body, knowing what it needs. Obviously, your durability, running, racing, and I have to just put this in there. Racing at the top. There's one thing to sign up for a race and be like, I just want to finish. And then also like, I'm going to win this thing. The intensity there. So we're talking about intensely racing 1,000 miles this year. Clearly your knowledge and expertise plays into that durability. I'd love for you just to share a few tips and insight coming from a sports PT for our many runners that are listening. What are some things that are important to you that you practice?
So I think the really important thing to look at, especially in my career, maybe in particular, is I mean, we talked about it already. I did not burst onto the scene and suddenly run 1,000 miles of racing. Like I've been at this forever. And I think I see that a lot in physical therapy also is, people have this idea that they are the exception and they are going to get better and they are going to be back to doing their thing that they want to do immediately. And like it really does take time. Like I took from when I started running to when I ran my first 100-miler was 6 years. And I worked my way up a step ladder to get there. And it took me, I ran my first 200-miler in 2024. So like that took 14 years. I don't know if that's math. That is math.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it does. I think it's fine to have really lofty goals and because I myself have talked about like you can do so much more than you think, but you also you do have to be a little realistic. Like you can't, or it's just going to be very hard to like go from 0 to 100. So be patient with the process. That doesn't mean that everything you do you can't hope for the best and train as if you're gonna knock it out of the park, because that definitely happens. And I've surprised myself at, doing my first of whatever distance and being like, wow, that went super well. But yeah, definitely being patient with the process and taking time to actually train and set a schedule that makes sense for where you actually are, I think is a really important piece of advice. And then too, I think being realistic with like how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. Like I am lucky because I know the difference between like something sucking and just like hurting but you know that you can push through that, and something like, oh, this is a problem, and like this is something that I do not need to push through. And like I also have the knowledge base to be able to rehab that myself. I don't have to go to the doctor for them to write me a prescription with the diagnosis being knee pain. Like that's not whatever that means. Like, and then having to wait for a therapy. Like I can just bypass all that, be like, well, I think it's this, so I'm going to treat it this way. So, I would definitely recommend for longevity within the sport, like make friends with a PT or a nurse or a doctor and like, take advantage of that relationship that you have with them and like, figure like go see a physical therapist and be like, well, what are my weaknesses and how do I address those so that I can avoid problems? Because I think a lot of people retroactively, like, well, they have a problem and now they try to figure out how to fix it. Like you could just avoid problems. And that is something that I've been really lucky with, I think, is because I only really had an injury this year, and it was because I was on steroids for pneumonia. Until then, I've never had an injury running because I'm able to like not prophylactically, but like preemptively work on things that I know I struggle with or work on things that like women historically have weaker hips. And like, it's always important to work on your posture when you're running so you don't get neck and back pain or shoulder pain or whatever. So yeah, I've kind of like, I'm not to say that I do any sort of like strength routine consistently. Sorry, don't hate me for saying that. I know you're really big about it.
I
But,
think
like, if I
PT
start-
exercises are strength training. It doesn't have to be big, heavy dumbbells. Those resistance bands and PT exercises are solid.
Yeah. And sometimes body weight is enough too. But like,
Yeah.
if you keep I really equate a lot of like as cliche as it is, like if your body is a car, and like if you have an older car, you have to take that much more care of it. It can still go the same speed. Like a brand new car and a car from 1990, like the end speed can probably still be the same, but you're gonna have to manage that older car so much more. And that's kind of the way that I look at treating my body when running. Like I'm older now, so like I can't just go out and do like 3 30-mile runs with no sleep. Like I'm not 20 anymore. I might need to like sleep more and recover more and like be a little bit more realistic. But the end result, honestly, I think I've gotten so much better as I've gotten older, not just because I've gotten wisdom and experience, but because I've learned how to manage my car. So figuring out, realistically what things you need to look at, and especially like as you age, like how do I keep myself as healthy as possible so that I can do the things that I want to keep doing at a high level. I don't know what my advice is in there, but yeah, I guess, treat your weaknesses and be realistic with your timelines, I think are the two big things that I would recommend for like people trying to get into it or stay in it.
I love the treat your timeline realistically. I think the trend, especially in the last like 3-4 years, is our sport has exploded. I mean, the trail running is exploding, and I love it. I love seeing more people on the trails. What I've noticed though is like I can run a marathon. I'm signing up for Leadville. And it's like, whoa, like I get people all the time that will email me and they want training plans and stuff. And they're like, cause they're watching all the documentaries, they're watching everything on social media and they're emotionally charged by it. And they're like, I want that experience. I want to be that. I want that. I want to go there. I want to know what that feels like. And the thing is just exactly what you said. And I tell this to people all the time. I know my body is really durable. This is my first injury. Well, I'm back from it now, but I didn't have an injury for over a decade. But the thing that I always tell people is like, I've been training like hard double days since I was 15 years old, like in the gym, endurance running, slowly building. I didn't just get here overnight and think that I could just do all these races. And even within my career, when I first started, I mean, I remember the first time I ran a 50-mile race, I was so trashed. I was like weeks and weeks of rehab. Same thing when the first time I ran my first 100, I was like, what did I just do to my body? But I think that this idea of respecting the journey, I would never tell someone, no, you can't do that. I really believe we are so much stronger and resilient and capable than we think we are if you put the work in. But people don't want to do the work. They just want the experience right away. They just want to go and do the thing. And it's like, man, do you know how much more you'll appreciate it and how much longer you'll be able to do it if you put the work in and you build that base, you lay that foundation, and you do it the right way. And you are a testament of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the work can be part of the experience too. Like it
Mhm.
it
It's the
has been
best
really fun.
part. So freaking
Yeah, like
fun.
I love like
Me
I was
too.
training for 200 milers before I even knew that 200 milers existed.
Yeah, you were.
Like,
When I saw you in 23 at the jackpot, I don't know why you were lining up with me at Cocodona that year.
I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there, in every again, not just in sports, but in every avenue of life, there's going to be the person who shows up and crushes it.
Yes.
But I think
Yeah.
I think one really humbling thing that I've had to come to the realization of is like most of us are not those people.
Mm.
So for most of us, we're gonna have to like sit down and like, okay, well, like how do I everybody can be that person as an end result,
Mhm.
but the ways in which we get there might not all look identical.
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely it has been a long journey for me to finally get to this point. And I think I maybe I could have gotten there sooner had I had a little bit more confidence, but like building that confidence was part of the journey. And
Yeah.
like I wouldn't necessarily change anything because I eventually got to the place I didn't know existed, but that I wanted to be in, which was like, cool, now I have the time to dedicate to being my best at this thing that I love.
Mhm.
Um
Incredible. And I love that you pointed out too. There's some people that get to the start line and like bam, they set a course record, some historical like world-class time and you're like,
Wild.
"Wait a minute, what? You've never run before? You've never done this distance before?" It's absolutely amazing. But I do think as a whole, just as you have said, the joy really is in the journey. Also, you want longevity. And
Right.
you have to have a foundation built somewhere. And so I think that respecting who we are individually, and that is like the greatest joy is like, hey, yes, some people are gonna just show up and crush it and set those record breaking things. And maybe that might be you. But also it's your own individual journey and you get to let it be whatever you want it to be. But we all have our own strengths and weaknesses that we have to work through. And the best way to get anywhere is by building. It's like by putting in the work and just showing up every single day and doing it. And you can be you'll blow yourself away that way too. It's amazing when you look back and you're like, "Wow, I can't believe that I used to be afraid of a half marathon."
Yeah.
I didn't know if I could finish a half marathon. I still remember the day when I ran for 6 miles straight and it wasn't after a ball. We run so many miles in a soccer game, but like I'll never forget that. I would never think that I could do 100 miles.
My first half marathon woman I was so nervous, and the woman I was standing next to was like, "Oh, is this your first time?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be doing marathons soon." And I was like, "No, I won't." Like, this is so
Really?
far. Like, yeah, like I I don't know. I think I'm really appreciative that I am not exceptional at running. Like
Mm,
I like that because I think it makes it so much more I don't know, like attainable for everybody if like, hey, I really am not like some like psycho athlete because I mean, I'm not going to say I don't know what Courtney's history is necessarily, but to me, Courtney was somebody who like, yeah, she had a couple of years where she was like figuring it out, but then she was on the scene and has stayed there. Like she is an exceptional athlete.
mhm,
But not that is not the only way to get to the top of the sport.
mhm.
Like you can be a normal person with a lot of passion and still be up there too.
Yeah.
Like you can still stand on the same start line as your heroes and like it's
Mhm.
you don't have to have this weird hidden like talent or like innate ability to be a super fast runner. Like you can just be really dedicated
Mhm.
and just stick at it for a long time.
Well, I think that's what makes you shine, Rachel. You're so relatable, and I think that your pathway has been harder. Because you've been working a full-time job, you haven't had the sponsors, you've had to figure it out, I mean, and then when you talk about your history and what you've overcome in the past, I mean, it's like you are so insanely inspiring. It makes me, like, celebrate your accomplishes that much more. I mean, I remember when I was a young mom with little kids trying to figure it out, and when I first got signed in 2014, my kids were, like, 4 and 6 or 6 and 8, something like that. And I remember being so jealous, like, man, I wish I could just train all day and just sleep all day. Like, I'm running a business. I'm like raising kids. I'm going to PTA meetings and working in the classrooms, going on field trips, and then trying to fit in this training and be like a Nike athlete. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I got here. But I think that, I love that you pointed that out. It's like we can all write our own story and nobody's written off just because
Yeah.
you aren't immediately signed and training all day long. You've really shown us that, in spite of everything you've overcome, all the work, all the years you put in working full-time plus hours, and now here you are at the top. You earned that.
Yeah, and it makes the ability to be able to do this now, like, that much better, like, knowing how I've gotten to the point where now I, like, don't have to struggle quite as much as I used to. It makes me that much more grateful for, like, this. So, yeah, weird. Life is weird.
Rachel,
Life
you
is
you you're such an inspiration. Half of your story you're telling here, I did not know. I just want to say thank you so much for all you shared. I know that you've gained tens of thousands of new followers and fans just by coming on this podcast. I really hope everyone listening, make sure that you subscribe and follow and check out all of Rachel's adventures. I know they're going to continue to grow in the coming year. What do you have planned for 2026? I know you said Cocodona and that you're looking toward to UTMB. Is there anything else that you're excited about?
my plan for next year. So I don't know if I like believe in goal races. Maybe that'll change as like my intensity with which I'm racing these things increases, but I have a couple of like things that I'm really excited about next year. So thing number 1 is obviously Cocodona. So I have a couple of races that I'm doing that I'm also excited about in the lead up to that race. So I'm doing Cold Water Rumble, and again I race a lot, so this might not
That's
be
right
good for you.
away. That's first few weeks of January.
That's January 18th, I think. So I'm doing the 100 miler, which I'm excited about because I haven't really done. I mean, I guess I did a 50 miler in November, but I feel like I have been doing way less than I have for a while. Like I haven't had a race in December yet, and it's like cool. So I'm excited to get to like toe another start line. But yeah, so Cold Water Rumble in January. I'll be going to Chianti in March.
Amazing.
It's like the end of March. And that's going to be important because again, that's going to hopefully get me into the UTMB. So I'm looking forward to that. And then and then I'm doing Whiskey Basin, which is I
It's
think
in
it's like
Arizona,
56
right?
It's
Yeah.
56 miles around Prescott. So much fun. I did it last year, like as a tune-up for Cocodona, and it obviously boded well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do it again this year.
Yeah.
And then I've got Cocodona. So that's all I've really planned for my schedules so far. Just because the end of the year, it all kind of depends on how the start of the year goes. So hopefully, if it all works out, I'll be able to do UTMB. And then I'm really interested in being a part of the snowman race. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's in Bhutan, but it's a stage race. Bhutan is a really fascinating country because they're the only carbon negative country.
Oh,
And
wow.
so this race is so this race is actually designed to the king of Bhutan. I think he's a king. He might be an emperor. But
Wow.
he actually set up this race because he believes that trail runners have a very unique perspective on the effects of climate change. And so every 2 years this race happens, and he invites trail runners out to do the event and then kind of discuss like what it has taught them about how our world is changing.
Wow.
It is
So did you get
it's
invited by the emperor?
I applied. So
That's
I think
amazing.
I think it would be super fun. And like what a like I love everything about what I've read about this race so far. Like seems really cool. Like you get to spend usually it's like 2 weeks in the country and you're like hanging out with the locals and like doing all sorts of cool stuff. What a like unique perspective from a country to be like so invested in undoing because for them like they live off of the land, and like for it to change is a hugely big deal for everybody, but for them in particular. So I don't know. It seems like a really cool opportunity. So that would be in October.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. But yeah. So that's the second half of my year is a little bit of a question mark, but those are the things I'm hopeful for, is like a UTMB and then the snowman race. The snowman race is a little bit more like a like Barkley, like it doesn't really matter where you finish. It's just like important that you do.
Yeah.
So that I think will be obviously like, and it goes up to 19,000 feet. Which
Wow.
I love high altitude running. I think it's super fun. I also am pretty decent at it. So that would be really, I would love to see how that goes.
Wow.
Being
19,000 feet. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Will that
really
be the
nice.
highest that you've ever been?
That's Oh yeah, I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
But,
Because you've
I
done
did it
Whitney, right? I mean, that is Whitney
a
the
bunch.
yeah.
Yeah, so I've done
Yeah.
14s a
Yeah.
couple of I mean, I love 14,000 feet is really fun.
That's
And,
crazy.
training for high Lonesome too, I spent a lot of time at altitude, and, like, I can carry on a full conversation jogging uphill at, like, 13,000 feet. So I think I'm lucky in the sense that I've developed a good
Yes.
endurance at altitude.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if, like, I'm sure it's just exponentially harder at something that high. So it'll be cool if I get in. I think that would be a fascinating race to be a part of. Or maybe even like an event to be a part of. I don't know if I even want to think about it as a race because I just want it to be an experience.
I'm
So,
really gonna look forward to following along with that. The way you've
yeah,
described it, it just sounds so unique. What an
yeah.
adventure.
I think it would be the third iteration of the event.
Okay.
I think. So, yeah, Luke Nelson is kind of heavily involved with the race, and so I've been in contact with him, and it's like, please let me do it. I think it would be so fun, like
Yeah.
so interesting, and especially growing up in the Southeast where we don't talk about climate change, and moving out west where I directly see the effects of like Mount Rainier's glaciers receding, and like Colorado right now we have like almost no snow. So it's definitely something that I've learned so much about as I've gotten older, and it's like, well, this would be an awesome way to like go from it's again, I mean, when we're looking at like the journey of like coming from Alabama and not even knowing about evolution to like now I'm doing a race where at the sole like focus is climate change and like how important it is that we address it.
Mhm.
So
That's
anyway,
incredible. That's the joy in trail running. It isn't just the same surface, kind of the same idea every time. I always say that about like road running. It's like you could train for a road race here in America and go run it in Berlin and like, you kind of know what to, you know what to expect. But like trail running, it's always an adventure and you get to see some of the coolest places in the world or go to the
I know
most
that's
beautiful
yeah.
places.
Yeah, and I'll have to figure out like what happens if I see a yak. Like
Yeah.
I don't have any idea. So I don't yeah,
Yeah.
or like monkeys. I don't know. Are there like monkeys there that are gonna like chuck stuff at me? I
Yeah.
don't know. So I'm trying to figure out how to like survive this brand new environment instead of just like walking on the same road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. So yeah, the second part of the year could have a lot of international stuff if I'm lucky. So I'm hopeful that that happens.
Rachel, is there anything else that you'll be doing in 2026, even outside of running, that you want to announce or that you want to share or that you're into?
I'm hoping I was approached by a company that does like it's vagabond trails, so they take trips to
Yeah.
do I was approached by them to do a TMB, which I'm super hopeful works out. Because that would also be good scouting for if I get into
Yes.
UTMB. So
You would be
hopefully that works.
so much fun. I could definitely see you leading a group, and that company is awesome. There's a few companies that do it, and
Yeah.
I know those are becoming more and more popular. I mean, what a cool way to do that route! But okay, and so there's that. Is there anything else?
I mean, I don't know, not necessarily. There's a group here called Women of the Sawatch that I'd like to get more involved with, kind of getting and I've now gone to a couple group runs just like locally and kind of hearing what things that women want to get better at. Like a lot of them are running at night. Like people are afraid to run at night out
Oh
here,
yeah.
afraid to run trails by themselves. And it's like, cool. Well, I would love to help empower people into like that's something that I love doing. I love running at night and I love running by myself. So yeah, I'd like to get and I think I'm gonna have an opportunity to get more involved in that group. So definitely excited about that. But yeah, I mean, guest lecturing at my alma mater, I guess. Like that
Yeah,
sounds pretty fun.
that's so cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I really I don't wanna bite off because I've been approached about coaching by a couple different groups and it's like, well, I don't know because I really, I've not been a professional runner before, and I don't want to like agree to do too much stuff. And then like,
Mhm.
it's almost like, well, why did I even quit my job if I'm just going to still continue to be pulled in a bunch of different directions? So, probably don't have a ton on the schedule for this year when compared to other years, but, I don't know. I think that's like purposeful.
You're very wise. If there's anything I can definitely look back on, it's realizing that, yeah, when I first started, was doing way too much. I did online coaching for a while too, but I think you're wise. And I think that contracts now are way better, where
Yeah.
people can do this full time. And I freaking love hearing that. And so embrace that. Give yourself that room in your week where you're like, you can take a nap, you can recover, you can just relax. And yeah, that definitely affects how you feel every day. Where can people follow you to keep up with you with all these amazing adventures?
Yeah, so, I'm on Instagram. It's just, Rachel 2 underscores Entrekin. I guess I'm technically on Facebook, but, like, not really. And then I do have a Substack and a WordPress, that I really enjoy writing. I've actually been asked, I guess one thing is I was asked to write for Ultrarunning magazine.
Oh,
So now I have
wow.
my own column. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Amazing.
Um,
What's your
yeah,
column going to
so
be?
so it's called, Thoughts from Mile 90.
Oh, I
And
love
it's
it.
just, each magazine has a theme that they're going for, and I'm just like writing thoughts on the theme. So like this past the December January issue, the theme was off season, which I don't want to like tell people what to do in the off season. So what I chose to write about instead was I've lived in a bunch of places that have different climates, and what the climate there has told me about like my off season.
That's cool.
So like describing all the weather in Alabama versus Washington versus Colorado and California. So yeah, I'm just kind of like putting my spin on what the theme of the magazine is each month, I
That's so
guess.
cool. I love that. Well, I know people will look forward to reading that. I know that has a big circulation, big group people that read that. So we're gonna put all of Rachel's links in the show notes. Make sure you follow if you are on Substack or you love to read blog posts. I know there's a lot of people that do. Make sure you check those out. I know the support is
Since
appreciated.
2017. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
that's awesome.
plus
You've been writing for a while. Yeah,
yeah.
very cool. Well, so awesome. Rachel, you are such a joy, so inspiring. We really, really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I know that you've encouraged and motivated a lot of people today. You've gained a lot of new fans. We're going to be following along. We have people running still right now. They're still running. So, what's a good word that you have for them as they're finishing up their run?
Um, Congratulations. 'Cause
Yes.
it's hard, I mean, yeah, it's hard to sometimes the hardest step is the first one. So, like, congrats on still being out there and getting it done. I think we should
Absolutely.
congratulate ourselves for our accomplishments more. Definitely something I've learned this year. So, yeah, if you're still out there running, good job on your almost 2-hour run. Hopefully it's been
Fantastic.
fun.
Yeah, I know. This is a wonderful podcast. And that's why I said that's why a lot of people listen to them during training and racing because they usually go 90 minutes to 2 hours and we just hang out with them the whole time. So we've had some good time with everyone moving along. Listeners, I really do appreciate you being here. As always, know that we are cheering for you. We support you and we hope that you keep choosing strong in all you do.